Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. This video is going to focus on all the things I do to prepare for a trip. So it's going to be a little bit talking style, a little bit vlog style over the course of the next week as I prepare for a trip. I'll start with a little bit of background information on the trip that we're taking. So one of my best friends, one of my bridesmaids, is getting married in Ireland. That is where her family is from. She studied abroad there for a year, and just the setup of how weddings are in Ireland is exactly what they wanted. And most of their friends and family were going to have to travel anyway, so they chose to do it in Ireland, which we are so excited. The wedding is actually on a Wednesday. They figured since everyone was traveling anyway, they were gonna do it in the middle of the week. So we knew we wanted to extend both before and after our trip in order to be able to explore the country. If we're going to be flying over there, we wanted to make the most of it. So we decided to do a 10-day trip. Now there wasn't, in retrospect, I wish we would have researched a little bit and picked the cities in Ireland we wanted to go to before we picked the length of time. But because we're also taking a second international trip this year for our honeymoon, we didn't feel like, especially as two business owners, we could take more than 10 days off for this trip. So that is what we ended up with. Again, in retrospect, I wish I would have planned out the locations first, and then we probably would have ended up with closer to a 2-week trip, but we're gonna make it work in 10 days. So the first step for us for preparing for a trip is booking the flights. Now I do have different methodologies of booking flights, whether I'm flying domestically or whether we're flying internationally, whether we're flying home. And so check bags aren't necessarily a thing because I know I'm gonna have access to all the toiletries I could need and a washer and dryer. Or are we going somewhere domestically that I am gonna be in a hotel and I need to be able to potentially check a bag? All of those factors impact how I'm gonna look at flights. I do tend to gravitate towards Travelocity. I love Travelocity, but I also love Southwest, which is not on Travelocity. That's how I operate for domestic flights. For international flights, I will check Travelocity, and then I will also research a little bit to find out what airline is the most predominant in that country. And then I tend to check the actual airline's websites and then try to get a feel for if they're going to have any sales. And that is how we booked these flights. So pretty much if you're gonna fly in and out of Ireland, you're flying Aer Lingus, which is the Irish Airlines, and they tend to have sales every so often. And so I kept an eye on that. I actually picked out our flights, like which flights we were going to take based on, there aren't that many options, but based on the days that we were leaving. And then I waited until there was a sale, which was $50 off per ticket, which is not a huge discount, but it was something. Get $100 off, $100 towards something else, and I booked our flights. That was the first thing I did. I did that probably about 6 months, maybe closer to 5 months before the actual trip. That is about the timing that I've always kind of done for our international trips. For domestic trips, if it is a holiday weekend or a holiday, I will also tend to book about 5-6 months out. And then for other domestic trips, I usually book closer to 3 to 4 months. There's a lot of information you can look up on when's the best time to book flights. It's gonna depend a lot on what you're looking for, when you're traveling, where you're traveling. For me, I usually just have kind of in my mind like what I'm comfortable spending, and when I find a flight that fits within that budget, I will book it. For me, flights are not one of the places that I will track and try and get the best deal. I would rather do that with other things related to our trip, like cut back in other ways and just have those flights booked. For me, it's kind of a peace of mind thing. So that was step one. Next step is hotels. Where are we gonna stay? And we do like to stay at Airbnb style. So when we went to Puerto Rico over Thanksgiving, we booked an Airbnb. I like having the option to have leftovers from when we eat out, like a fridge and a microwave, a little stovetop. I like being able to cook a little bit if we wanted to. We didn't really end up cooking a whole lot in Puerto Rico, but I do like having that option, especially if we're staying for a long period of time. We do tend to lean more towards Airbnbs. What I found for us for international trips is we do tend to move a lot. We stay in one place a couple of nights and then we move to another place. So there I do tend to lean more towards hotels. I like some of the amenities, like them being able to hold our bags before and after flights. It's just a little bit easier to manage when I know that we're only gonna be staying a couple of days and we might have some extra time. So for this trip, I knew we were definitely gonna be booking hotels. Now, the hotel that we're staying at for the actual wedding, that's part of the wedding block, that we booked really far in advance. So for the longest time for this trip, all we had were the flights and then the 2 nights at the wedding hotel. But there were still 7 other nights that we needed to book in this country. And this trip was a little bit different because we didn't take the time to research and figure out which cities we wanted to go to. Normally, I like to book hotels not too far after the flights. I book the flights, I know we're gonna be there, let me go ahead and book our hotels. So like when we went to Dubai and in India, I knew exactly what dates we were gonna be where in what parts of the countries because that's when our flights were. And so it was easy for me to just go ahead and research hotels and book the hotels. Again, Ireland was a little bit different and I definitely waited too long because there were some some cities that just didn't have as many options as I wanted. And so I wish I would have done this sooner. I actually only ended up doing this maybe 6 to 8 weeks before our trip, and part of that was I was distracted by our own wedding. But in retrospect, I would have done this a long time ago, especially Dublin. I felt like was a little bit limited on selection. But let me give you my thought process when it comes to booking hotels and or Airbnbs, whatever you and your family choose to do for trips. Pick your non-negotiables. So what is important to you? For us, what's important is that we are close to like whatever is the downtown of where we're gonna be. We like to walk to things. We like to walk to coffee shops, some restaurants, bars. We like to be able, like we like to be in the city center of, even if it's a small town that we're staying in, we like to be in the middle. We like to walk in. We live in New York. Like that's the kind of vibe that we like. Number 2 is what's our budget? Like what's the top end of our budget? What are we willing to spend? And for this one, it ended up also me needing to put a requirement of having a certain size bed. There were some hotel rooms that had like double or twin beds. I don't know if that's just a lot of tourists, a lot of families, but I was trying to find a queen or a king. I don't even think we ended up finding any kings, but a queen, at least, size bed ended up needing to be a requirement for these hotels. So that was it. So then I would literally just start looking, and as soon as I found an option that fit are like those things, I would save it. Once I had 3 that fit those requirements, I read through the reviews and picked the best one. And literally that's what I did. I can tend to over research when it comes to things like this, and I could have spent hours and hours going through all of the different hotels, all the different options, and I may have found a better one than what we ended up booking. But honestly, these kinds of trips for us are not ones that we're spending a ton of time in our hotel room. We're gonna be out doing things, so it just wasn't as important. Now, when it comes to planning our honeymoon, there are gonna be parts of our honeymoon where the hotel is very important because I want like a couple of days to just like relax and do nothing. I might spend more time researching the hotels for that trip. Next up on the list is tours and attractions. And I am kind of in the camp where I do like to have a little bit of flexibility. I like to kind of decide once we get there, do we feel like eating out, eating in, going on a tour, just relaxing? What's the weather like? I do like having a little bit of flexibility. But I learned on one of our prior trips that things book up and tours book up, and we learned this the hard way in Dubai, frankly. The short version of it is we thought that we would just play it by ear to go to the top of the tallest building in Dubai, which is also the tallest building in the world, and they were all booked up except for the VIP, but that was the only day that we had to do it. And so if we wanted to do that experience while we were in Dubai, we had to pay for the VIP experience, which was amazing, but it was very expensive. And so in retrospect, would have booked general admission tickets and not had so much flexibility. So now, even though we learned that the hard way on one of our prior trips, I still kept putting off doing it for this trip. And I think one of the big reasons, what I've learned from planning this trip, is that it is so much more fun and easy to do with the person that's traveling. And Sam loves to travel. And so I don't know why, like, because I took ownership of getting the flights and the hotels booked, I was like, well, I also need to do the planning and figure out what we're gonna do while we're there. But that is something that he also wants to have a say in. And so instead of like, I kept scheduling it for myself and kept putting it off. And then finally, I scheduled a date night at home for us to like order dinner and then sit there and do it together. And once we did that, it went so much faster. So just to give you a little bit of summary, and no, we'd already picked which cities we were gonna go to. We did that together also a few weeks before when I had booked the hotels. Then when it came to tours, we basically just looked at the top things to do in those areas. We looked at TripAdvisor and we looked at a couple different travel blogs. Really only one. Like one of us would have up TripAdvisor, one of us would have up another blog that said like top things to do in there. We would kind of compare and contrast and see what was at the top of both lists, but then also what sounds interesting to us. Like one of the cities, I don't remember which one, had an art museum that was like one of the best things to do there. We're not big art museum people, so we decided we weren't going to do that. So we compared the two lists based on what our preferences are, and we picked what we wanted to do and then kind of plopped it in to the days. And some of the things we chose to do don't require booking tours and tickets in advance, but some of the things did. And so I'm glad that we were able to book those in advance. And while, yes, I do like having that little bit of flexibility when I'm traveling, I realize that when you want to do high ticket things like the Guinness Factory Tour, it's gonna require, you know, booking in advance. We do also try to balance out though a little bit of planning things, booking things in advance while also leaving a little bit of room. Part of that is a cost thing. Like, yeah, we could do a tour every day and cram it in, but the tours add up, the prices add up. So we kind of were picky and choosy, like, okay, in this city we can do we're there for basically 2 nights, like 48 hours. and we can do 2 tours, and then the rest of it we'll fill in with whatever we end up discovering. Some of the things we already researched, like there's a market that we want to go to. That's not something that we have to book in advance, but like it's already on the schedule and those kinds of things. So we kind of balance it out, and then also balancing the more expensive versions of tours with less expensive versions. So there are, for most things, most tours, there's like the super VIP, which we basically don't do any of those unless we forget to book things. And then there's kind of like upgraded a little bit, and then there's like the bare minimum. And so for some of the things, we chose like the lower end. We chose like the lower end of a walking tour. And we chose, what was the other thing that was like, there was a general admission and then like a next level up, and we chose the general admission. But then for like the Guinness Factory, we did the slight level up version of it. So one of the things we did do also for this trip was we kind of, which we did not again do India, Dubai, is we looked at our trip as a whole, right? So we didn't book one tour at a time, like say, we wanna do this, let's book it. Next, we wanna do this, let's book it. We looked at our trip as a whole. Okay, here are the kind of the things that we're thinking, which ones are worth upgrading a little bit and which ones are worth sticking to like the general admission option. I just want to quickly add, so for tours, timing wise, we ended up doing this about 3 to 4 weeks out before our trip. And there was nothing really that we looked at that was already booked. There were some times taken from like the Guinness Factory tour is the big one that keeps popping into my head, but we got the tour we wanted at the time we wanted. So there was nothing that we tried for that was already booked. Now, I don't know if that's, we just got lucky. Again, in retrospect, I think I would have booked the hotels way earlier, and then when I did the hotels at like 6 to 8 weeks, that's when I would have preferred probably to do the tours. But like it ended up working out for us for this trip, but we may not get that lucky with other countries or other trips in the future. All right, so it is Wednesday, so it is 1 week before we leave, and I have a couple things that I have done or am doing today that I just wanted to talk about. And the first one is when I was going to the drugstore to pick up something else that we needed, I went ahead and made a couple purchases for the trip. So I got a couple of travel size things for Sam that he was out of. I also got a new travel face wash. I have one, but it's almost out. That's kind of the story like of everything that I bought here, is that I'm almost out and I don't know that what I have is gonna make it through 10 days, especially something like face wash, because I know that Sam is going to likely also use my face wash. Same thing with the lint roller. We have one, but it doesn't have very much left on it. And because we need to look nice for some events there, nice. That's the like generic brand of our local drugstore. I wanted to get a brand new one so I would be sure that we would have enough for 10 days. And then same thing with these 2 makeup items. These are items that I use every day and repurchase all the time. I just don't know that the ones that I have right now are gonna last me 10 days. So this is the tinted moisturizer that I use. I feel like I've talked about this in a favorites video. And then this is the powder that I use. It's mattifying powder from Maybelline. This one's Wet n Wild. So that is what I picked up today. Then the other thing that I went ahead and did was laid out my suitcase. So this is something else that I will usually do about, I'm sitting on the floor next to it. So this is something else that I will do about a week before I leave for somewhere where it's a long trip. If it's a weekend trip, I won't do this. So the reason that I do this is that so when I start washing clothes or going through clothes, like even if I'm going into my closet to pick out something to wear tomorrow, if I see something that I think I want to take on my trip, I will go ahead and put it in the suitcase, the open suitcase. That way I won't wear it and it won't get dirty. Now, I do think that this habit was a lot more helpful when I lived in an apartment that didn't have a washer and dryer in it. That way I wouldn't get to packing the day before or 2 days before and then have things that I wanted to wear be dirty. I would start that process a week out. Now that we have a washer and dryer in our apartment, and for those of you that have a washer and dryer, which is pretty much anybody that doesn't live in New York City, this is probably not a necessary tip. But the other reason I do kind of like this is it makes packing easier when it's time for me to pack, and it allows me to just think of stuff. Like when I see something, clothes or even otherwise, that I'm like, oh, I am not going to use that in the next week or the next couple days as we kind of go along, and I'm probably going to want to take that. Let me just go ahead and throw it in the suitcase. So I went ahead and put my suitcase out. I am planning to pack both Sam and I. We're gonna mix and match between a small carry-on size, and then he has the medium away suitcase. So I got him, I don't know if I ever mentioned this anywhere, I got him away luggage as his wedding present for me. So I have the large and the carry-on. I got him the medium and the carry-on. And because we are going to be changing hotels a lot on this trip, I didn't want to bring my large. I didn't want to deal with that. But I think that we're going to need a little bit more because we're going to need nice clothes. Like my bridesmaid dress I'm going to carry on in a garment bag. But his suit, which I guess also we should carry on, I guess. I don't know. I feel like that's much more easily replaceable. Like if our luggage got lost. Plus, we are flying a week before the wedding. So I'm really, like, if it got lost and didn't get returned to us, we could go buy him a suit. The bridesmaid dress. No, I'm still gonna carry that on. Anyways, I'm gonna try to pack both of us in one carry-on sized and one and then medium sized. That way it's easier for us to like unload and load on the buses and the hotels and all that kind of stuff. So the other thing that I will do about a week out from a trip, and this is for whether it's a short trip or a long trip, domestic, international, it does not matter. I will start working on the packing list. I usually actually aim for about a week from when I'm gonna start packing, which would have been like this past Sunday, but because I was out of town and I knew I wanted to film this and I just didn't get to it till today. But I will start my packing list. Not because I'm gonna start packing right away, but because I know my brain will think of some random things throughout the week, like that I won't think in the first sitting. I don't like to make it right before I pack because I sometimes I don't get everything out of my head. Even though I have a whole list, I still sometimes will think of extra things that are specific to that trip, or I will think of like a specific clothing item or just something that I want to take. So I created this myself. This is just for my personal use. So the top section is meant for me to brainstorm outfits. Sometimes I will brainstorm the exact thing that I'm going to pack, like if it's a dress or a top that I want to pack. Sometimes I will just say like cute or comfy. That way I know kind of approximately how many things I need. For this particular trip, I know I'm going to be re-wearing stuff, so I will keep that in mind when I actually start packing. Then this bottom section, I will go through and I will highlight the things that I know that I will need, and then I will add different clarifiers to certain things if I know I'm gonna need something specific in one of these categories. Okay, so for here, most of the stuff was not specific except for like this dress and this dress. I just wrote like cute or comfy. I did mark the things that I'm gonna make sure we carry on as an outfit for when we land. That way when we drop our bags off at the hotel, we don't have to like open up the big suitcases. We made that mistake in Dubai. We were literally in the lobby of our hotel like digging through our suitcases for clothes to change into because we didn't wanna wear our plane clothes, mostly because it was really hot there, but I also don't wanna fly and like I wanna fly in comfier clothes. And then again, I already talked about the bridesmaid's dress. And then down here, I added the converter. Since we're gonna be in another country, I probably will, I don't know, we don't travel internationally all that often, so I don't feel like I need it to be on here. I need to add contacts on here, I guess. I might take a water bottle instead of my cup with a straw, just because I just feel like it's easier to travel with a lot. A jacket, and then I also have a little section down here in on my packing list of things that I always need to do before we leave. So watering the plant, making sure Charlie has plenty of food and water until whoever's coming to visit her, trimming Charlie's nails, cleaning out the fridge, checking in for the flight, and then this time I added changing the sheet because my brother and his girlfriend are coming to stay at our apartment while we are gone to enjoy Memorial Day in New York and also keep Charlie company. So I need to make sure that I change the sheets before we leave. All right, it is Thursday, and the only travel related thing that I'm doing today is not even really travel related, but just I thought I would share kind of how I am adjusting this normal step because of travel. So I am meal planning. I'm using this like all out of Notepad. I don't even remember where I got this. I think the original one I got was from one of those little cute gift shops, and then when I ran out, I ordered it from Amazon. This is how I used to always do my grocery list before I discovered Plan to Eat. I do still love Plan to Eat and use it most weeks, but I am not actually like planning out meals. Today's Thursday, we leave Wednesday. That is not that many days, but we also don't have things. Like there are some things that we need that we eat regularly, and then there's some things, we're gonna have to eat meals. What I'm doing differently is that I'm not actually gonna do a whole lot of cooking between now and then. I don't like cooking anyways. We do tend to eat a lot of leftovers, and we're not gonna be around to eat leftovers. So I'm gonna cook like the next 1 or 2 days to get rid of some of the stuff in our fridge. So I'm making the list based off of what we have in our fridge that we need to finish up. And then after that, I'm just gonna buy a lot of the like pre-made stuff from Trader Joe's, like the orange chicken, some frozen pizzas, just like some really easy things to get us through the last couple of days. Because this is one of those trips we're gonna be gone for 10 days. Anything that would be in our fridge is gonna basically go bad, except for like condiments. So I need to make sure that it's totally cleared out. The other thing that I'm doing a little bit differently, I don't know why I keep picking up this notebook, a little bit differently than I normally would, is buying some smaller quantities of things. I know that feels like super obvious, but it's just something sometimes I don't always think of. Like our oat milk, I used the last of it this morning. which means I'm gonna have to go to Trader Joe's before I get to have iced coffee tomorrow. But I'm not gonna buy the big one because I'm not gonna finish that before we leave. I guess I'll check the date on the big one, but my guess is I'm gonna end up buying the smaller one. Same thing with eggs, definitely gonna buy the smaller one of those, or at least only 1 dozen. Normally I buy 2 dozen eggs when I shop. So just things like that, making the list, being really thoughtful of exactly how many days we have left. All right, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, do I worry about goals on vacation? And I wish there was a really easy, obvious answer. It really depends on the vacation and on the goal. Like, am I just going to my parents' house and I'm gonna be working, or I'm gonna be sort of living my normal life just in a different location? If that's the case, then yes, depending on the goal, I will continue to try to work on that goal while I'm on vacation. Now, there are things like house goals, those can't be translated to things that you can do outside of the house, obviously. But when I'm going on, especially international trips, where this one is really a vacation, I'm gonna be working a little bit here and there in terms of responding to comments, messages, those kinds of things. I'm not turning that off completely, but I am not gonna be focusing on goals. So one of the things that I'm gonna do, and I could have done this at the beginning of the month knowing this, is I'm gonna go ahead and highlight in with just my gray mild liner all of the rest of these days that I am gonna be not worrying about my goals. And then I'm actually gonna go ahead and do it up here too, because there's 0% chance that's happening that week. This goal clearly didn't go very well. And then I just finished my June goals, and so I'm gonna do the opposite here for June and color in the beginning of the month, because I'm not gonna start working on or worrying about any of these goals until we get home. So that's how it turned out. I just, again, shaded in all the days we get back, actually Saturday the 4th, but I know that Sunday the 5th, I'm also not going to wanna worry about focusing on any of those things. So I will start all of my daily goals on Monday the 6th. And then for the weekly ones, I didn't add that yet either. So I always add like the week of down here. I just won't do the week before. Now, if I was gonna be in town, the 1st starts on a Wednesday. I would likely do all of my weekly goals for June starting the week of Monday, May 30th. But because we're gonna be out of town, I'm obviously not going to worry about that. So I'll go ahead and write, and I will start this the week of June 6th. Hello, it is Sunday. It's the middle of the day Sunday. Something's going on with my eye from yesterday. I don't know what happened. So you're not gonna be seeing a whole lot of my face today, but I have a lot of things on my list to do in terms of getting prepared to travel. So the first thing I did that I've already done is I cleaned out the fridge and the freezer, and feel really, really good about getting through everything that's in there. Like, I will have to do one more sweep on Wednesday before we leave, but as of right now, I feel good about the fridge and the freezer. I also went ahead and did a little bit of cleaning. Again, I'm gonna do another quick sweep on Wednesday before we leave. I think I mentioned this, that my brother and my brother's girlfriend are coming to stay in our apartment, and so I just want it to feel clean and fresh for them. So I cleaned the bathroom and the kitchen today. Again, those will probably need a quick once over on Wednesday morning, and then I'm working on my office now, and then I'll do living room. But while I was cleaning my office, I saw something that I thought of that actually wasn't on my list. So one of my favorite things in my office are my 3 whiteboard calendars. I got these from Amazon actually in our old apartment, and I had them in like a square formation in our old apartment, and one of them was like just like a plain whiteboard that I could write stuff, or if they're all magnets as well. And so when we moved here, I wasn't sure where I was gonna put them, how many I was gonna use, and I decided to do 3, and I just love the way that they look on the brick with like the pink ribbon, and they just turned out so great. So what I do is at the end of every month, I don't rewrite all of them. I take off the current one, I scooch them over, and then I just erase the current one and do it for the next month. So normally, if we weren't traveling, I would do it over this weekend. I do it like the last weekend before the new month, but we are gonna be traveling. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do that today and swap out May for August. That sounds so bizarre. And just scooch these down and then have August all ready to go. I don't need to see May, because this week it's a short week before we leave. I don't need to see what's going on in May. All right, office is clean. Before I move into the living room, I'm gonna take a little time to deal with this pile. So like I talked about earlier, the suitcase has been sitting out here all week, and I have been throwing stuff in there when I do laundry, or when I get something delivered, or when I just think like I kind of wanna bring that with me. And so I will usually do this I try to do this process a day or 2 before a trip, but because this is a much longer trip, international, and we're leaving in just I guess it's 3 days out, I know I need more time for this process, and I have things going on Monday night and Tuesday night. And so I am going to do it today. So basically what I'm going to do is first I'm going to go through all this and I'm going to fold it and organize it and put it in a bunch of different piles. Then I'm going to go through my list. If it's already here in the pile, I'll check it off. If I can grab it, I'll go ahead and grab it. But obviously there's some things like my toothbrush that I, can't grab right this second. And so what I will do is I will circle, oh, my pen ended up all the way over there. I will circle those things that I can't put in right now. And that way Tuesday night or Wednesday morning before I leave, I can go through and get all the circled items. Typically I will only like touch packing twice. So like today, this round, I would not only go through the list, but I would actually pack it in the suitcase. And then all I would have left is the circled stuff. And I would do that at the end, close, zip it up, be done. Because we are still 3 days out, and because I still have a little bit of laundry left to do, I was going to do a load today and I did not get it in. And I just don't want to deal with it anymore. By the time I would get the laundry done, I would already have wanted to do this thing. So it doesn't matter. I think what I'm going to do today is just organize, check off, but I'm not actually going to pack it. You know what I mean? Like that's just going to sit in a nice little neat pile on the suitcase. And then probably Tuesday night, I have the Patreon call from 7 to 8. So probably after that, while the like replay is uploading, then I will go through, grab the circled things that I can get Tuesday night, actually pack the suitcase so it's packed and ready to go. And then Wednesday is when I will do like the last second things and zip it all up. All right, it's still Sunday. The apartment is in good shape. I dyed my hair. That's why my hair's wet. Charlie is getting in some snuggles. And I am sitting on the couch and I'm gonna, the rest of the evening, Sam is out of town. His flight doesn't land until later tonight. I am going to work. Not technically travel related, but it is associated because I've been trying not to work on at least one weekend day. I've tried to pick one weekend day where I don't work at all. And that is what I did yesterday. I just relaxed and hung out with friends. But because we are leaving Wednesday night and I'm only working 3 days this week and then basically no days next week, I have some things that I want to get to today. So instead of working in my office though, I am gonna sit here on the couch. I'm gonna put some Netflix on the TV. I've been rewatching the show The 100. I love that show. If you've never watched it and you like sci-fi, especially if you love like young adult, that's like the genre, like the main character. There's main characters that are not teenagers, but a lot of the main characters are teenagers. But anyways, I love that show. So I'm gonna put that on the TV and sit here and get some work done. All right, it's Monday. I don't really have any plans to do anything travel related today except work, get caught up, get ahead on things, feel ready to go out of town. But then I got an email from the airline saying, would you like to check in for your flight? And I was like, oh, check-in usually is typically 24 hours, so I'll just check in tomorrow. I have it on my planner to do tomorrow. But I went ahead and clicked the link and then logged in and it says the flight's not available for check-in until tomorrow night for my Wednesday night flight. And I was like, well, that makes sense. Why the heck did you send me an email then? Anyways, I didn't really have any plans to vlog today because I am not really doing anything to prep for the trip. All right, it is Tuesday afternoon. It's about one day from when we are actually gonna like leave to go to the airport, which is just, I feel like I have so many things to do. Let me know if you can relate. Leading up to a trip, I just feel like there's so many things I want to get to today. Right now, I'm going out to run a few errands. First stop is the bank to get some cash. Next stop is to pick up my bridesmaid's dress, which is all altered and ready to go. Stop 3 is the UPS store. I ordered a new travel pillow. The one I had was one that had little like beads in it and it got a hole and the beads have been getting everywhere and the hole just kept getting bigger, and finally I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a new one. And Sam got a new one that I really liked. I borrowed it once and really liked it. So I ordered that. So I'm gonna pick that up from the UPS store, and then the last stop is to go get my nails done. I'm hoping I actually have time to run home in between all that and take like my dress and my UPS packages home first, and then I will go get my nails done. I typically do my nails at home. I use Dazzle Dry. You know, I've talked about it. I love Dazzle Dry. There are just so many people out and about right now, and I obviously have gotten comfortable vlogging out in public, but there's a lot of people. Anyways, I do like to get my nails done and get gel when I'm traveling. That way I don't have to worry about it chipping. Dazzle Dry for me usually lasts about a week. I'm a picker. And then I also know that when I am at home and I can easily redo my nails if I mess them up, I feel much more confident going and getting gel for trips, especially when the wedding is a week from when we leave. Like the wedding is not till next Wednesday, so I'm gonna feel much better. And now I'm in the dark. Anyways, so I'm just gonna feel much better once I get my nails done. I thought that this would be nice to bring you along and talk outside, but I feel like this has been more difficult than just talking about the errands I had still from my apartment. Okay, it is just after 10 o'clock on Tuesday night, and this is the status of, hi, sweet girl, I know. I know, but you're my brother and his girlfriend are coming to stay, so there, you're gonna have company, sweet girl. Okay, so basically everything is packed. This is obviously my list, not Sam's list. Like, it doesn't include any of his stuff. So the things that are circled are the things that I need to get into these bags tomorrow. So we've got, this is what I'm carrying on. It's got my bridesmaid's dress, and then it's got our outfits for during the day on Thursday. The only thing I'm waiting for a pair of jeans for Sam to get out of the dryer. Then I have both of our travel outfits up here, shoes, everything that we're gonna wear to the airport tomorrow. And then I have the 2 suitcases. I think I mentioned that I'm gonna take this is the medium away, which is what I got Sam as his gift for the wedding. So this has all of our clothes, again, waiting for a couple things of Sam's to get out of the dryer. And then on the other side of this suitcase will go the hanging stuff. So I just need to wrap that up in the garment bag tomorrow. That's like Sam's suit for the wedding, his outfit for the rehearsal dinner, a couple other button downs for him, and throw that in the big side of the medium away suitcase. And then on this tiny one is mostly just our shoes. So on this side, it's got shoes that we aren't gonna need until the rehearsal dinner and the wedding. So like, we don't even need, she keeps hitting the camera. So like, we don't even need to unzip this until we get to the wedding venue. And then this side has some other shoes. And then I'm gonna put our toiletries here, most of our toiletries here once we wrap them up tomorrow. I am gonna put some toiletries in this bag for us to like freshen up when we get there on Thursday morning. But most of our toiletries will go in that other suitcase. So, and then I have my carry-on over here, my backpack, my new passport cover. So this all was a part of my gift from Sam for the wedding. He got me the 2 bags, this, and then there's a luggage tag over there that I haven't put on my suitcase yet. Anyways, and then my new travel pillow, and I'm gonna be all ready to go. So I think I'm gonna call it a day. I think I'm gonna get in bed. Well, no, I might wait. I might relax for a little bit and wait for those last couple things to get out of the dryer, because if I let them sit overnight, then they're just gonna get super wrinkly. So I'm gonna, it probably has 10 minutes left on it. So I'm gonna chill for a bit, and then as soon as that's done, put that stuff away, and then I'm gonna go to bed, and then I'm gonna get up early. There's still a couple of like work related things I would have loved to get to today, but I know myself and I am not productive this late at night. This is when I don't like evening flights. Like, I don't like evening flights. I would rather, like, I have to power through and get everything done that I need to get it done tonight, and not have all day tomorrow. Because now I'm like, well, I'm just gonna push it to tomorrow. But like, there's a time limit because we have to leave to go to the airport at a certain time tomorrow. So but I know that I'm gonna do it much faster tomorrow with a cup of coffee in hand, because I'm not a night person, and I would just move much slower tonight. So it'll just be better if I do it in the morning. So I am gonna go to bed. All right, it is about 11 a.m. on Wednesday. I still have some work things related to do, but I am all packed up. I had a break in my day, so I figured I would go ahead and just finish packing while I was in between calls, and then that way I can work up to the last possible second, and then all I have to do, I'm gonna take a quick body shower and put on my airplane clothes, and then I'll be ready to go. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you want to see more videos like this where there's like a specific topic, I know I asked a request for like a day in the life on a specific topic, but if there's a request that might span over more than one day, I did enjoy doing this kind of video. So let me know down in the comments if you have any kind of specific requests like this one. And if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up before you head out, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. That was weird. Nope, not that either. I'm awkward today. So for international, because my brother and sister are coming to stay, not my brother and sister. That did not make any sense.